All right, listener name. So let's say you're thinking about selling your house this fall. Big decision, right? Yeah,
Huge.
and we're diving into Selling Your House Fall 2024 by John Jacks to kind of map out that potential selling journey.
Definitely worth checking out. He's packed in some serious insights in this guide.
It's like having a roadmap for what could be one of your biggest financial moves ever.
Absolutely, 100%.
First things first is fall 2024, even the right time to sell.
Ah, the million-dollar question,
That's
right?
right. Everyone's whispering about mortgage rates. Should you wait for a bigger drop? What does Don Jacks think?
Well, he tackles this head on, acknowledging that a lot of folks are kind of sitting on the sidelines, crossing their fingers, hoping those rates just plummet.
Right.
But, experts are predicting rates to kind of hover around 6% this year.
Right.
A slight dip is expected, but there's a catch.
Okay, let's unpack this. There's always a catch in real estate, isn't there?
Right, right. Even with a small dip, the prediction is that more buyers and Z-sellers will flood the market, creating a whole different kind of competitive landscape.
So waiting for rates to drop could mean you end up in a bidding war on your next T home purchase.
Ouch. Yeah,
That's rough.
exactly. And Bright MLS, they even put out a report that Don Jack cites in this, saying that even a modest drop in rates will lead to more buyers, more sellers, just more everything in the market.
Wow, so timing the market is tough.
It really is.
Speaking of tough, let's talk about something everyone wants to know. Prices. What's the forecast looking like in this guide?
Yeah, so Don Jacks presents a pretty interesting picture, and he based this analysis on 7 major industry forecasts. And he seems to be seeing prices continuing to rise, but at a slower pace than the, roller coaster ride we've seen recently.
So no major price drops on the horizon. Why is that?
Inventory, my friend. We're still staring down a shortage of houses for sale,
Okay.
and that's something that all 7 of these sources seem to agree on. Continued, but slower price growth.
Interesting. That's probably good news if you're selling.
Yeah,
Maybe not so much if you're also going to be buying.
right, right.
But Don Jacks does highlight a potential bright spot for those thinking of selling equity.
Absolutely, yeah. He points out that the average homeowner gained a cool $28,000 in equity last year, just in the last year.
What?
Yeah, and he even included, there's a really interesting map from CoreLogic that shows how these gains vary across the U.S.
$28,000. Okay, that's a serious chunk of change. What if you bought your place before the pandemic hit, though?
Now, that's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Don Jacks pulled in some data from Freddie Mac showing that home prices have surged almost 50% since December of 2019.
Whoa. 50%. Okay, you got my attention.
Right. And it gets even better. He quotes Selma Hepp, she's chief economist at CoreLogic, who says that the typical homeowner today has nearly $305,000 in equity.
Okay, so that's a pretty compelling argument for selling sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Especially if you're looking to cash in on that equity.
Right.
But of course, selling a house isn't all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
What about some of those common mistakes sellers make?
Ah, yes.
Like what's lurking out there?
Don Jacks dives into that too. And, overpricing, for instance, it's a classic blunder.
Classic for a reason, I guess.
Yeah.
What's the big deal with overpricing? Seems like it'd be a good thing, right?
Right.
Start high, negotiate down.
It's trickier than that, yeah. Overpricing can actually scare away potential buyers.
Really?
Yeah. And it can also lead to appraisal nightmares where, the appraised value comes in lower than your asking price.
Oh, right.
And then that just throws a wrench in the whole deal.
So your house just sits on the market,
Exactly.
potentially making buyers wonder what's wrong with it.
Right, exactly.
That's no good.
And then Don Jacks also emphasizes that skipping those seemingly small repairs can backfire big time.
Okay.
Remember that leaky faucet you've been meaning to fix?
Oh, you mean the one that's been dripping for a while now? Don't judge me.
Hey, we've all been there. But seriously, even those minor issues can raise red flags for buyers. He even quotes Money Talks News in here,
Okay.
reminding us that these little things can make buyers worry about what else might be lurking beneath the surface.
That makes sense. All about those first impressions, right?
Precisely.
So we've covered pricing, repairs, but what about the art of the deal itself?
Sure.
This is where it gets really interesting for me, because I am not a negotiator by nature.
Right.
What does Don Jacks have to say about approaching negotiations?
Yeah, so this is where his insights into the current market really come into play.
Okay.
He argues that buyers might have a bit more leverage now than they did, say, a year or two ago.
Okay.
So sellers need to be prepared to work with them,
Yeah.
potentially.
So not holding firm on that asking price could be the name of the game this year.
It might be.
I get it, but that makes me sweat a little, to be honest.
Yeah, and, it's smart to be prepared.
Right.
And that's clearly a big theme for Don Jacks.
Okay.
He actually pulls this quote from U.S. News Real Estate. I found it really helpful. They suggest that if you get an offer that's, less than you hoped for, you should expect to negotiate.
Okay.
The only way to close a deal in this kind of market is to make sure both sides feel good about it.
So what does that look like practically?
Hmm.
How can a seller sweeten the deal without giving away the farm?
Well, Don Jacks throws out some interesting tactics. Maybe you offer to cover some of the buyer's closing costs.
Okay.
Or agree to a credit specifically for, a minor repair that came up during the inspection. It's about those creative solutions.
Okay, so flexibility is key.
Flexibility, yeah.
I'm picking up on a theme here.
Yeah.
Having a good real estate agent in your corner is more important than ever.
100%. I honestly think that's one of the biggest takeaways from this entire guide.
Right.
Don Jacks really emphasizes that a skilled agent isn't just there to, put a sign on your lawn and call it a day. They are your pricing strategists. They are your marketing masterminds, your negotiators extraordinaire. They're with you every step of the way.
Don't forget paperwork whispers. Let's be real. Have you ever seen the mountain of documents involved in a real estate transaction? It's enough to make anyone's head spin.
Oh, absolutely. It can be so overwhelming. And that's
Right.
exactly why having that experienced pro in your corner is so invaluable. They will handle the legalities. They make sure every I is dotted and T is crossed. They just help you avoid any of those potential legal pitfalls that could totally derail a deal.
He actually quotes First American on this point, saying, "To buy or sell a home, you need to accurately complete a lot of forms, disclosures, and legal documents. A real estate agent ensures you cross every T and dot every I to help you avoid having a transaction fall through and or prevent a costly mistake."
It's all about that peace of mind, right?
Right.
Knowing you've got someone who's got your back throughout that entire process.
Makes sense. Now, for those brave souls out there who are still considering going it alone, selling for sale by owner, or FSBO as the cool kids say,
Right.
Don Jacks offers a bit of a reality check about the challenges involved.
He does. He highlights that. While it might be tempting to try and, save on those commission fees,
Right.
going the FSBO route can actually end up costing you more in the long run.
Especially if you make one of those costly mistakes we were just talking about.
Exactly. Not to mention the sheer amount of time and effort involved
Oh, yeah.
in marketing your property, coordinating showings, handling negotiations, and then, of course, managing that mountain of paperwork we just discussed.
Yeah, that's not for the faint of heart. It reminds me of that saying, sometimes it pays to invest in expertise.
Absolutely. And when we're talking about something as important and as valuable as your home,
Right.
having that skilled real estate agent on your team can make all the difference.
All right, listener name. Ready for the final stretch of our real estate deep dive.
Let's do it.
We've covered a ton of ground already, from market trends in equity to those common seller slip-ups Don Jacks warns about.
We've really dug deep.
And let's not forget the importance of having a rock star real estate agent in your corner.
Absolutely essential.
But, as they say, knowledge without action is like a house without a foundation.
Oh, I like that.
It's not going to hold up for very long.
We've got to build on that knowledge.
Exactly. So how do we take all these insights from selling your house fall 2024 and turn them into a real game plan? What are the next steps you can actually take?
Well, whether you're thinking of selling this fall, next spring, or even further down the line, there are some proactive things you can do right now to get the ball rolling.
Give it to me straight. What's priority number one?
Connect with a local real estate professional. Seriously, you want someone who really knows your neighborhood, your market.
Okay.
They can give you a personalized assessment, not just generic advice.
Okay, so it's like finding a good therapist, but for your house.
Exactly, exactly. And just like with a therapist, don't be afraid to ask those tough questions.
Right, right.
A good agent actually wants you to be curious, to really understand all your options.
Okay, so find a good agent. What else? And this
Aw.
one's for you, listener name. Imagine this, you've sold your house.
Congratulations.
Yes. But now you need to find a new place to live, and this is where things can get really stressful.
You're not wrong. It's a delicate dance, buying and selling at the same time. That's why, when you're interviewing potential agents, I think it's crucial to ask about their experience with helping clients navigate both sides of that coin simultaneously.
So finding an agent who's a pro at handling both buying and selling at the same time is key,
I
in a
don't.
sense.
It really does. You want someone who can not only get you top dollar for your current place, but also guide you towards that next dream home.
See, you say dream home, and I just think about those house hunting shows where everything goes wrong. How can you avoid the drama?
Well, don't worry. Real life is a lot less dramatic. But you're right. It's about finding that balance, that smooth transition from one chapter to the next.
Okay.
And a big part of that just comes down to communication
Yeah.
with your agent, with potential buyers, and even with yourself.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So being honest about what you need, what you can afford, and what you're absolutely not willing to budge on.
Exactly.
This has been eye-opening, and Don Jacks has given us a lot to think about.
He has.
But I think it's important to remember that at the end of the day, this isn't just about numbers and transactions.
It's not. You're right.
It's about finding a place where you can truly thrive,
100%.
a place that fits your lifestyle, your goals for the future.
Absolutely.
So listener name. As you go through this process, and IS a process, trust your gut, lean on the expertise of those amazing professionals you've surrounded yourself with, and don't be afraid to dream big.
Because when it comes to real estate, the possibilities are endless.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Be sure to join us next time as we explore more of the exciting world of real estate.